Good afternoon. It is now 12:07 p.m. Central Time, November 27th, 2020. Happy Black Friday to everyone. This is USA Stormwatch with a follow-up feed statement in regards to some severe weather we got going on just to the north of Lake Charles, Louisiana. Right now, there is a tornado warning for areas around Gills and Moss Bluff, tracking towards Highway 165 in sections of Calcasieu and Jefferson Davis towards southern Allen parishes in Louisiana. And we're still downloading some of the data with this, so it'll be a minute here to acquire this, but we definitely have some strong, healthy rotation with this cell as it continues to track towards the east. Latest update from the National Weather Service does have this towards Topsy around, this is just east of Topsy now, mostly rural areas, but now tracking towards the population vicinity around Highway 165. So areas around Bowler and Fenton should be impacted soon. This is definitely a cell that is capable of producing strong downdrafts. So, I mean, I will advise that areas as this cell continues to track into eastern Calcasieu, Allen, into Jefferson Davis parishes, we're definitely looking at some sort of a wind threat nevertheless. So, again, you folks just north of Lake Charles, this does not include Lake Charles proper, but other areas in this is warning here in Allen, Jefferson Davis, and Calcasieu parishes. Definitely be taking your tornado precautions at this time. It looks like the radar is offline, if I'm not mistaken. That's probably one reason we're not getting data. There we go. Okay. Now we got a good glimpse on Doppler radar. I think the Lake Charles radar has been down several times over the past couple of weeks, ever since we're still recovering from Hurricane Laura and Hurricane Delta in these areas as well. And I'm gonna go ahead and put two panels on here and checking in with base velocity. I'm going to download some of the more recent radar data on this particular cell. And I will advise that definitely we've been getting some healthy rotation with that. That's in response to this warning, that increase in low-level shear you can see right there. And you can see that little hook echo signature on reflectivity as well. And as that continues to make its way, as that has made its way towards Highway 171, you can see that little bit of red against green there. And now the situation looks like we're getting a little bit more broad shear, so that's definitely a sign of some strong downdrafts with this. A little bit of a bowing, a hook signature as well. So, I mean, there's definitely a sign we got a good updraft around here. And I'm going to go ahead and look at the echo tops too, just to see what we got. I mean, there could be small hail with this cell as well. So definitely you folks in the path of this cell should be taking precautions. Again, if you're in a site-built structure, you should be fine. You definitely want to be riding these storms out in a site-built shelter. Definitely be avoiding mobile homes or non-site-built structures or outbuildings. Definitely the safest place to be in a severe thunderstorm or tornado-warned storm is to be inside. We're also checking in. We're going to go look at broad scale now. You can see all this shower and thunderstorm activity as it continues to track through the south of the Red River Valley towards the central and western Gulf Coast states. That's probably as far as I can zoom out. That's right. So, I mean, I'm going to go ahead and look at water vapor imagery so we can see kind of a basis of what we got going on. So you can see the Storm Prediction Center has highlighted much of areas around in south and southeast parts of Texas, the Texas Gulf Coast towards the Louisiana Gulf Coast, also towards, looks like the far western sections of the Florida Panhandle as well. Looks like we got that marginal risk. I think the tornado threat is highest, obviously towards parts of Texas, and definitely seeing a lot of that frontal convergence right around here, as it looks like we got some cells to the west as well. And we're going to keep a close eye on this activity firing up around here. Looks like we got some convection starting to form. Yeah, definitely some oppressive dew points. Look at temperatures in the 80s, dew points in the 70s. Normally in the South Texas Gulf Coast, it gets fairly warm around here. Just you get that advection off the Gulf. There's a good short wave. Definitely, you can see on the back side of this, we got temperatures in the 50s. Definitely more seasonable averages for late November for areas like Dallas. But you can see the activity we got going on here in Houston, like 75 degrees. That is kind of like spring or early fall like weather averages. You normally wouldn't see temperatures well into the 70s or the 80s this late in the season. This is a little bit above average, nevertheless. But yeah, we can see a little bit more frontal convergence around here. We got some storms that it looks like we're starting to get a little bit of an updraft with some of these. I mean, we're starting to get like small hail, a little bit of upscale growth with these cells, but obviously nothing that is screaming severe weather right now. But that may change over the course of the next couple hours. And we're still loading here. Yeah, I will advise caution, you folks in South Texas as well, especially the Gulf Coast. And I'm going to monitor some updates here from the Storm Prediction Center. If you give me a minute. But yeah, it looks like we're starting to get some of that. Obviously, we got that upper low cycling over the high plains, and we got a short wave kind of on ahead of that. It's like that's kind of why we're getting, that it's kind of that surface front that's draping across here. I used to have the place file on this program that gave me the fronts and everything. But yeah, now looking at the day one outlook, obviously the highest tornado threat, as we mentioned, it placed that highest tornado threat about 25,000 miles, mostly across 25,000 square miles, about 6,000 people from Houston to Pasadena, Beaumont, Sugar Land, and the Woodlands. That's the area that the Storm Prediction Center has highlighted for at least an isolated tornado threat. In terms of like square miles, like that's the probability you will find a tornado within 25 miles of any given location, and that translates to about 20% over a 250-mile area as well. So I will point out that the threat is there for isolated tornadoes in that particular area as well. So obviously damaging winds is the primary threat overall with this particular system, and small hail as well, because we're starting to get all that upscale growth, and along that shortwave and stronger winds further aloft, we're starting to get some of that colder air in place further aloft as well with some of these. That is definitely going to give us the probability for some large hail with this particular activity as well. And I will point out the latest updates from the Storm Prediction Center. Obviously, I'm going to be looking at a little bit of water vapor imagery as well, because obviously we have that upper low kind of cycling over the high plains, southern high plains into Mexico. It's driving all that Gulf advection. And I will point out over the next couple of days, a lot of the thunderstorm related activity will be mostly confined to areas of the deep south, the Gulf Coast area, And obviously looking at the situation for the day 3 outlook as well. Looks like we have a low-end threat for severe weather across the southeast states and towards generally the same areas. Looks like we got more of an elongated kind of trough, if you will. I mean, that's kind of hovering over this particular area. I mean, I'm gonna go. This is kind of more broad scale. So I mean, I will advise definitely renewed shower and thunderstorm chances across the Gulf Coast states. Definitely be mindful of that. Yeah, I mean, we're looking at the potential for a stronger system next week. We'll get into that pretty soon here on MesoWatch. So into next week, obviously we've had some thoughts about a stronger system. Obviously, if you bear with me, you folks in the South, I'm going to be looking, I'm going to go back to this particular system. We can discuss the developments that come out of this, but obviously nothing that is screaming like it. I'm not seeing any local storm reports with that, but looks like we have not much spotter network activity with this particular cell, so I'm not really thinking that there's any major developments out of this, but still very healthy rotation with this. So definitely you folks, Fenton, Edna, Indian Village, and Woodlawn, in areas in Jefferson Davis, Southern Allen Parish, far eastern Calcasio Parish in Louisiana. Definitely want to be taking your tornado precautions. This is north of this is Interstate 10 there. That is Highway 165. That is just north of there. That is tracking east at about 30 miles an hour. So definitely looking like areas around Highway 165. That's Edna and Fenton, looking like a track towards you folks in the next 8 minutes. So you folks definitely want to be, you guys probably won't have much time in case something does hit you guys. And there's a new scan. Yeah, you can see, yeah, that is moving fairly quickly. So you guys probably won't have much time. So definitely be careful with that. Obviously, this is part of a more stronger system here. I'm going to get the GOES 16 imagery up. We can on that. Watch for November 27th. We're talking some thoughts that I have for the potential system that we're going to be watching for next week. Obviously, generally in the fall and the winter time, obviously we're in La Nina, so I mean that's cooler air over the Pacific. And what tends to happen with that is that it kind of impacts the overall pattern in terms of like snow. I mean, obviously the ocean water is still fairly warm and it's insulated. The outlying air parcels, that's what generally is colder. But I mean, there are colder sea surface temperatures near that intertropical convergence zone just north of the equator. And what we want to be watching is for large scale systems that may originate over the Pacific. That generally brings us all the snow and stuff over the western and northern parts of the country. But again, any a stronger surface low that develops generally broad scale, or more synoptic scale systems, you'd still get a warm sector with this. You can see the temperatures and dew points well in the 70s with this. So I mean, this is a spring-like air mass for you folks in the Gulf states there. So I mean, definitely paying attention to this cell. It looks like it's making a track towards Fenton. It's tornado and damaging wind warned for severe thunderstorm and tornado warning heading into 12:30 p.m. Looking like we're still getting about 30 knot outbound velocities to about 10 to 20. So that's about 40 to 50 knots shear. Maybe a bit less than that. I'm just inferring. It's not, obviously that's not immediately gate to gate, but we'll pay attention to that developments as we get there. Yeah, I have some of this imagery up, and I'm going to relay this here. Okay, it will be a minute there. Yeah, definitely looking at a water vapor imagery. You can see where that upper low is over sections of the high plains. That moisture, looks like high level moisture is advecting off of the Pacific. Just having a look at that. And what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to try and embed this particular image on here. It's been a while since I did any of that. Or I'm actually going to screen share 1 second. There we are. Okay. So here's the geostationary satellite 16 image. We can see more synoptic scale. Obviously, we see all that moisture. That is low-level moisture that's advected off the Gulf. This is high-level moisture. You can see how quickly that is advecting into the southern states. So I mean, see that moisture that's advecting out of the Pacific. This is a stronger upper-level system. You can see it's kind of a trough axis right there. A little bit further aloft, we got an upper-level low somewhere over here in the southern high plains area. And obviously we have those high temperatures, those high dew points, definitely warmer sea surface. I mean, obviously the sea surface temperatures, obviously they're lower, excuse me, the closer you get to the equator. So I mean, obviously that's kind of why the hurricane season tends to calm down. But I will point out that obviously there's this is a good source of moisture for systems like this, because we got a wind, low level winds are coming from the Gulf there. So we have plenty of shear readily available, but I mean, obviously you can see we have a little bit of convective inhibition. A lot of that convection is firing up across South Texas. That's kind of where we have more upscale storms that are growing. I mean, obviously, as that kind of weakens, some of these cells may produce a greater damaging wind threat, perhaps, as well. This front, as it pushes into the southern Mississippi Valley towards the Mississippi Delta as well. So I will point out that those are areas that are also under the gun for potential severe storms later in the day as well. We can see the remnants of that upper level low as it tracks towards the Great Lakes. It's like it's leaving a little bit of cloud cover behind with it over parts of the Midwest. And obviously we have those, we have a lot of moisture coming off of the Pacific. So, I mean, we can see the jet stream dive down a little bit, and then it picks up some of that Pacific moisture. So, I mean, we may have a larger scale system to watch next week, as I pointed out. And I'm going to go ahead and just make some inferences off of GFS. And again, I will point out for you guys that use GFS or like use model data, you want to kind of combine not only different models like GFS, CMC, Euro, or like see what track it takes, but you also want to watch the trends. So I mean, I'm looking at the 12 Zulu run. So this is the morning run. So I mean, I haven't put too much. I didn't dive too much into the earlier model runs, but I'm going to try and get a run. I'm going to try and get a glimpse of what we got going on there. Obviously, there's that shortwave digging through upper level low that's associated with that. Oh, definitely some higher elevation moisture and condensation producing some form of snow over that area as well. But we're gonna try and fetch the data here. What we got, we can see definitely a strong upper, good upper trough there, and that's definitely gonna cool us off in the Midwest over the next several days. We got that low that's gonna track over the Ohio Valley, may produce some shower, potential thunderstorm activity. And obviously, there is that low chance we could see severe storms. Obviously, we're going to have to watch. Obviously, we got some some more elevated instability inherently just looking at what we got going on here. That's just the projection. We don't know exactly what's going to happen with that. But I mean, definitely potential for some cells. If we do get some more discrete cells with enough instability and updraft potential, and definitely we want to see some strong shear with that. Normally that happens closer you get to the surface low. We'll have to watch and see what happens with that. But I'm gonna be watching. Obviously next week we're gonna be cooling off a bit. But yeah, we can see on the back side of this particular system, looks like potential for some light to moderate snowfall for sections of Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, between Lake Michigan and the Lake Erie area. Just depends on how much cold air we get on the back side of this system here. Obviously, this upper level low pressure system, this trough, just depends on how far it digs into the area, and if we get low enough heights to support like temperatures closer to the ground below freezing. A lot of this air, while some of these temperatures could be above freezing overall, I mean above this, just above the ground where precipitation does form, it could be below freezing as well. So I mean, some areas could be looking at potential wet snowfall that could be mixing in with some of this. Obviously, a lot of these areas will be below freezing. Potentially, we could be seeing some lake effect snow on the backside. Obviously, we get stuff lifting out and then kind of advects into areas around the coast. We'll have to see how that happens. Definitely, the Lake Michigan could also be a little bit of a source of moisture. Just depends on, how, there's a shallow area of warmer air that could form above the surface. And yeah, we have forecaster JD Rapp with us. How are we doing?
Fine. I'll probably be done with this for a little bit, and I'm going to have to sign off. And we had that one
we were wrapping up some of our thoughts for yeah, I'll get back to that.
It's expired.
So we're watching this particular system. Yeah, I mean, I was obviously it is expired, but I mean, I was talking more broad scale. Obviously, this has to update. Yeah, there we go. Obviously looks like that. Yeah, definitely the outbound velocities have weakened. You can see considerably how there's less shear available, a weaker updraft. But I mean, still, we may see gusty winds with this line of showers and thunderstorms as it does approach Highway 165. And yeah, some of these storms have been training, producing some heavy rain, and obviously for some of us, the threat is flash flooding across some of these low-lying areas as well. So we'll have to pay attention to that. Okay. But yeah, it looks like the overall concern that I do have for you folks over the more broad scale, some of this frontal convergence that we're continuing to look at over the course of the next several hours. And then just depends on how far north this lifts. We may see a little bit more low level instability with some of this as well. And that will probably just depend on what we got going on here. I think this is where more surface instability is available. We could see a little bit higher of a tornado threat, just contingent on what we get with some of this low-level instability that we got going ahead of this front. We can see ahead of this front. There's not much surface-based instability or low-level convection or anything like that, but obviously this is all infecting into parts of Mississippi as well, and some of this could be training activity as well. So we'll just have to pay attention to those particular
Flooding is
developments.
going to be a problem. We just got a new marker showing up here, Isaac. A yellow marker.
Oh, the red one here? Okay.
Well, there's two of them. One yellow and a yellow one there.
So when you see when you
that means some shear, right?
Well, I mean, this could be potentially a little bit of cyclonic activity, just with the overall storm, towering storm. You got a little bit of an updraft, and then it kind of wraps around the storm. So I mean, not that it's this is more low-level base. So I mean, we're seeing a little bit of low-level shear with that, but obviously nothing that's like tornadic immediately or anything like that. But we got a little bit of a warm updraft, some of that saturated air that's wrapping around the storm as well. So that will likely lead to some intensification with this particular cell as it approaches Interstate 55 in southern Mississippi around Pike and Lincoln counties in Mississippi. Obviously, in that cell over Jefferson Davis Parish has a weekend. Like there's not really much downdraft potential with that. Obviously, it grew upscale, had a little downdraft.
Yeah, when I looked at that one cell, Isaac, there was a when I looked at that one cell, there was like some blue there showing the kind of maybe like a debris or something. I don't know. Did you see anything blue color?
Okay,
kind of north of that, north of floating.
Hold on. Yeah, what I'm going to do real quick is kind of see what we got going on there. So if I hit the 5, 6. Okay, so this is the Echo Tops product, and this is the rainfall. That's storm relative velocity. Okay, there's our dual pol product. So what I'm going to focus on there, obviously, just north of Lake Charles. And obviously, this is the Fort Polk radar. The Lake Charles radar, we're still recovering from hurricanes Laura and Delta, so they've been having periodic outages to deal with.
Yes.
But we can see right there. That could be debris, that could be lofted. So a possible debris signature that we had with that. So a tornado
and I was right.
Just north of Manhattan, inferring we do not have official radar.
All right, we got somebody want.
Okay, yeah. So what it looks like, we had a little bit of a low level convergence with that little updraft rear flank signature. This is what it's called, rear flank. And we can see just north of that, that's where all that hail is, that rear flank forming on the back end. That's heavy rain that's wrapping around. So that's condensation as well. So potential tornado signature as that track to the north. So good eye there, JD. We would have paid a little bit closer attention to that. But obviously we just had radar confirmation of what happened. Obviously, we did not have any spotter reports of a tornado, but it is possible we may have some local storm reports popping up with that soon, and we will relay any additional information we do get as we continue our MesoWatch segment. Yeah. There we are. Oh, Keith.
So what's the rest of the
commented? Okay.
What is the rest of the day going to be like? We'll have more warnings to probably deal with.
I mean, the situation today, I will kind of point out that obviously we have that frontal convergence. Depending on how far instability axis kind of lifts a bit north, that low-level based instability we'll just have to see what happens with that. And then it today obviously would be, I believe the low level base instability would be highest, the area of the storm highlighted over far southwest Louisiana coast, much of the Texas Gulf Coast. We'll have to pay attention to that.
And I did a good job with that
Okay,
debris ball tonight.
so in the meantime, yeah, good eye. We will relay additional developments as we get them, but for now, looks like the overall severe weather threat.
You
just
could
over
tell.
the short term.
Okay, you could tell him. Tell him. I guess you. Okay. No watches right now, so that's
yeah,
good.
we will continue. Okay, we will continue to keep an eye on this, but in the meantime, this concludes our MesoWatch for today, and we will follow up with later streams as needed. JD and Keith would be willing to join us there, but this concludes our MesoWatch segment, and we will be back with later developments.
Let me hit the end button for you.
Yeah, I got it.